We're going to go live here in just a few moments, okay? So everyone, make sure you share this post, tag a friend. Never mind me, just looking at the computer. Happy Women Wednesdays. Good to go. And if you all are on your phones right now and follow us on Women Wednesdays, please feel free to share this post, tag a friend, and we're going to get started here soon, okay? All right, what did everyone order to eat? Because I'm hungry right now. That croissant looks amazing. Okay, well, we're going to get started here. Welcome, everyone, to this beautiful Wednesday here at Railroad Square Craft House in the Railroad Square Art District. Let me tell you, I'm so happy spring is blooming, aren't you? It's so nice out. And the sun is out, and everyone looks beautiful, so thank you so much for being here. I'm Chrissy Souders. I am one of the hosts for Women Wednesdays. I am the owner of Kitchen Wearable Art, and I lead the retail division for Divvy Up Socks, and I am a volunteer here for Women Wednesdays. Our founder, Barbara Westcott, could not be here today because she is traveling, but she sends all her love. I know she is watching us right now on social media. And then also tomorrow, she couldn't be here today, but she always is here, so we'll see her next week, I'm sure. So I just want to kind of give you a little update on Women Wednesdays and what's happening here. I want to say thank you to all of our volunteers. And Robin, did you want to mention anything? Yes, you want to come up here? You want to come right here? Just because, okay.
Good afternoon. I am Robin Yateman, and I'm your marketing, excuse me, that's my other job. your membership coordinator. So I'm collecting names at the front. If you're not a member, I'm just going to send you an email with a link to our website so you can learn more about Women Wednesday to see if you'd like to become a member. For a testimonial, this has been a wonderful opportunity for me on a personal level and a business level to collaborate with all these awesome women, and hope you enjoy today's meeting.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Gina Edwards. In my business, I support women in claiming the power of their voice, whether that's on the written page, on a stage, in their workplace, or just in their everyday lives. And for Women Wednesday, I am the co-coordinator, along with Olivia, of the Women Wednesdays blog, Women's Words. And any of you, whether you are a member or not, are invited to submit to the blog. You can write on any topic, any length. If you don't consider yourself a writer, email me anyway. We're not looking for perfection. We are just looking for an opportunity, giving you an opportunity to use your voice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I know you recognize our guest speaker today, Dana Brooks here. So we're going to get to what we're going to talk about in regards to marketing and advice from Dana. But I want to send things over first to Olivia, just to give you an update on our speaker series and where we're at with that.
And so I'm Olivia, I'm your speaker series coordinator and owner of 30 Expressions, a written media company. So we are getting ready to close it out for the spring. So I believe the last Wednesday in May will be the last for the speaker series. So if you're looking for an opportunity to speak, we'll move you over into the fall. So we're gonna give it a little break for the summer, you know.
Everyone needs a little vacation, right?
Yes, and then we'll pick it back up in the fall. So if you do want an opportunity, you can email me at speakers@womenwednesdays.com and we'll get you in there.
Awesome, thank you. And then also we've got a great event coming up here, the 850 Hemp Summit. So I want to bring Jana and Melissa up here to talk a little bit about that because I know we're going to have a booth. So I'll have you guys right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
I'm really excited for this first presentation, so we'll keep this brief. Minutes. So ARPC, Appalachia Regional Planning Council, will be hosting our second annual 850 Industrial Hemp Summit coming up at the end of April 27th and 28th. We've got a phenomenal lineup of speakers, and we want to make sure that you all are there so that we can get this information dispersed into the community and start building a new industry from farm to trade. So we're here to offer the Women Wednesdays members at least 8 free registrations. If we've got more interested people, great. So if you want to check in with us at some point before you leave today, or you can take my business card and email me and call me and we'll get you signed up. If you're not familiar with hemp, anything made out of wood, cotton, or petroleum can be made from hemp. This plant has so much potential. There are over 25,000 known end uses today in 9 submarkets. That includes housing and construction. So this is something that could really transform our region economically, but it can also build the resiliency of our region environmentally, because this plant, it's basically going to save the world if we let it. So please check in with us.
And online folks, online members, contact us, Melissa Franklin, Jana Williams, go to arpc.org and we can connect with you there as well.
Perfect. And the website is www.850hempsummit.org. So thank you all for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chrissy.
Okay, so we've got a really good discussion for today, and I'm sure we will have lots of questions. I'm definitely excited to have you here. Dana Brooks, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you a introduction here just to tell a little bit about Dana if you don't know already. She is not only a shareholder of Tallahassee's most skillfully marketed personal injury firm, FASIG Brooks. Is it FASIG Brooks or FASIG Brooks?
FASIG Brooks, that vertical line is meant to establish equivalency.
I love that. That's great.
It's not and, it's FASIG Brooks.
And that's a little marketing right there, I'm sure. She's also a vocal champion for women. Dana joins us to share her passion to help women and small businesses come back stronger through effective marketing and branding. So we're super excited to have you here today to talk about marketing and branding advice for women. So first and foremost, how are you?
I'm well.
Good.
I'm not hot flashing, so I'm really excited about that. Thank you, Weather, for cooperating.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your background and how you started with, being a personal injury lawyer and then so much more for women in our community.
Okay. I was raised in Pensacola by a single mom. I tell people my dad opted out of all the responsibility stuff, and so that was all on my mom. And so I watched her struggle for many, many years, and I had a lot of time, and I couldn't wait to hit the ground running. I wanted to work. I wanted to earn my own money. I wanted to be my own person. And so I tell people I have 10 hours of high school education because I worked full-time in a law firm the last 2 years. But that helped me gain a lot of experience and meet a lot of people and observe people in a setting that I wasn't exposed to. I didn't grow up around lawyers and people like that. So it gave me a glimpse of a life that I didn't otherwise think was going to be available to me. And so that was a motivator. But then I did what so many people my age and from my orientation did. I got married very young, started a family. I thought that's what you did. I thought my success would be my husband's success. And so I went full bore into that, into building him up as much as I could. So That's a lot in my book. That's a whole chapter right there. But eventually, I was a paralegal. I got an AS degree, and I was a paralegal and worked for years doing that. That's a great degree, by the way. I'd love to, anybody wants to talk about that, what you can do with that education. It's a wonderful way to earn a living and take care of yourself. But then after a while, that wasn't gratifying, and I've always been told I was a pretty good listener and gave pretty good advice. And so I went back to school, and I got finished my AA, and then I had to get a bachelor's. I got it in social work, and then only a calendar year more than that, you can get a master's in social work, which is a terminal degree, and you go into counseling, which is what I plan to do. I tried that a while, but I felt like I was sitting there like this when I wanted to spring into action. I wasn't satisfied listening to somebody for an hour at a time and reinforcing them. I wanted to go, do something for them. I'm more of a natural advocate. So then I became a family law mediator because I had some experience in that. But that's very hard to help people in their marriage and co-parent well when you only have 2 or 3 hours with them,
Yeah.
So that wasn't as gratifying as I thought it would be. And then I finally just said, oh, the hell with it, I'm going to go to law school. When I was in law school, I said, well, what will I practice? And I said, well, I was in the last semester. I'm going, well, whatever one of these classes I get the better grade in, I'm going to do that. So family
Very
law,
logical.
yeah, that was a throw out to the universe. So it was either medical malpractice or family law, and I booked med mal, which is the highest grade in class, but I got a higher grade in family law. So I was like, well, that didn't answer any questions. So I just said, what's happening? And then while I was still in law school, I got the opportunity to go with an established 35-year-old plaintiff's personal injury law firm. At the time, it was called Eubanks and Barrett, Eubanks Barrett Basic. And literally, when I graduated law school, took the bar, I got sworn in as an attorney at 11:30 in the morning, and I got made a named partner of that law firm at 4:30 the same day.
Wow.
The lesson there is trust the universe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that seemed to me like it was more of a natural progression for you, and things just kind of made sense in the world, right? So you just trusted your instinct and moved forward and kept moving upward and onward.
Yeah.
So when you found yourself in that 35-year-old establishment, what was your surroundings like for you as a woman and being in that environment? Were they supportive?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
And I was kind of surprised by that because these people, other than Jimmy FASIG, my now law partner, who's a year and a half younger than me, the 2 attorneys we were working with are 20 years older than us. So I wasn't sure, how that was going to go, but I was going to take that opportunity. I mean, if somebody gives you a shot like that, take it. I don't care if you're ready for it or not, get ready, because those don't come along all the time. So I was very, very supported. I've always felt very supported in that law firm by all the people. And then they another thing, they made me managing partner of day one. I mean, now I'm starting to look back and go, these people were reckless.
So basically, does that mean your name is then attached to the actual, like, how you see 5 names?
Yeah, it was Eubanks, Barrett, FASIG BROOKS.
Okay, great, okay. Wow, that's
Yeah, and then they just threw me in, and they had belief in me, and I had so much opportunity, and I could tell. I mean, there's obviously going to be professional jealousy when you get opportunities like that. Get ready for it. So a lot of people, I felt like I had a big target on my back. People were looking for me to do a career face plan as soon as possible and go, or they'd be like, who'd she sleep with? Or who's her husband? Or who's her brother? That sort of thing. And so that was plenty of motivation for me to knock it out of the park.
wow. So now how long ago was that?
That was in 2008.
Okay,
So
so
14 years, I guess.
fast forward 14 years. A lot has happened, I'm sure, between then, because now it's FASIG Brooks.
Right.
So let's fast forward to that. So go ahead. So basically, what kind of happened in between there to get you to where you are today?
We just grew. Jimmy FASIG and I ended up buying out the shares of the other partners, and we wanted to grow our firm. We wanted to serve more people. We thought we could do it better than our competition, frankly. We genuinely care about our clients, and we care that they have a better life than they had when we got them. We're not just trying to get you a check and get you out the door. Like whenever we settle cases, we will say, what's your dream? What do you want to do? And you want to start a business? I'm going to put you in touch with some people I know who are in that business. You want to go back to school? Here's a path. You may think this is a path, this may be, but we care about the people. And we felt like a lot of our competitors, not to speak poorly of them, but it is a business, and so many of them focus more on the business aspect of it. We look at it as a relationship and an ongoing relationship. Because so many people that we have helped in the past, they will send people they love to us. And so that's the most gratifying thing. But that's how we've grown our businesses, is by being a little bit different, really getting involved with our clients and bringing them into we call it our forever family, bring them into the fold.
And really setting yourself apart from the rest of the personal injury lawyers that are in the community and all that as well too.
Well, that's the other thing, is we're in a lot of mastermind groups now that we've kind of gone to a bigger size. You got to learn from other people. You've got to always know that you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So always be learning. That's the number one thing. But we learned one of the things that distinguished us from other lawyers is we were real. We were in the community. We weren't aloof. We didn't feel like we were too good to show up to things. And so when people are like, oh, you're a lawyer and you're here, I'm like, no, I'm a person and I'm here. In your head, I'm somebody I'm not, but I'm really just a real person. So I think that we got to walk your talk, and that's kind of what we were going to talk about: image, reputation, gossip, and brand. Those are 4 things that I look at and I distinguish.
So let's start with that. I'm sure a lot of things that you just mentioned about your background and also just kind of your journey in the personal injury world as an attorney, and also the mastermind community as well too. So, because I know you're very much prevalent in that. I'm sure that resonates a lot with you guys when you're talking about, building yourself up as a brand, as a business, and being able to set yourself apart from everyone else who's doing the same thing, right? So let's get into the nitty gritty. Now you call it the 4, is it like your 4 pillars? Or,
well, there are 4 things that I think people get confused. Now, I don't have a marketing background. I hope everybody understands that. I have a paralegal, social work, lawyer background.
it's all subjective.
I just kind of looked into it. I see what works, I see what doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I kind of do what works and I disregard things that don't. So I'm not burdened by a bunch of theory that I learned
Yeah.
that I'm fighting. I'm just telling you what's worked for me and how we've done it. But there's your image, and that's kind of, what the outside world is seeing about you and thinking about you. I'm tall, blue-eyed, blonde, kind of just noticeable, very conspicuous person. I hope that my image is that I look very put together, look like I have my shit together. Okay. Look like I'm doing good things, looks like I'm, making money, helping people, educated. That's an image. Okay, your reputation is what other people think about you. Okay. So, and most of the time you earn that by your work, your deeds, by what you've done. But again, it's other people's subjective view of you. And it can be very disheartening when it doesn't meet with what you believe about yourself, okay? And that's why I talk about gossip, okay? Gossip is what people are saying about you, okay? And it is very easy to get caught up in wanting to disabuse people of incorrect information. I'm asking you to resist that. Resist that urge. Now, if someone comes to you directly, you may want to disabuse them of something. Like, Dana, I heard that you're doing this, then you talk to them. But just because there's stuff being said about you in the world, don't go seeking opportunities to correct that. You've got to have the discipline and genuine belief in yourself that that is not true. That is gossip. It will fade away when it is not being reinforced by your behavior. When you are not becoming and satisfying their expectations of you based on gossip, that has to fail. But if you go chasing it down, okay, that's going to make you less and less confident. It's going to make you insecure. I don't see what you get for that. So you've got to have the resolve, a genuine belief in yourself to let that stuff go. Because if you don't, you can turn gossip into the news. Do you understand what I mean? You can validate it. And you can, just by you breathing energy into gossip, you can make it a problem it otherwise would not be for you. And then the final thing is your brand. What do you think of when you think of a brand?
Let's say Colgate.
That's a toothbrush, Kleenex, Xerox. I don't call it cameo-facial tissue. I say cameo Kleenex, I don't say, go duplicate this document.
Xerox is starting, actually, I do say copy now, but I used to say Xerox. It's starting to match your brand. And so I hope that my brand is one of a strong woman who cares about other women. Very simple, you know. And the way you get to your brand, in my view, is you can start wide, kind of like a funnel, and then narrow it. Because you got to get yourself out there, you got to be noticed, or nobody's going to care about your brand. So when I first started being very involved in the community, I would go to the opening of an envelope. If somebody had something going on, I was there. Okay, I don't care what it was. But I got narrower. You know, I was on the food bank. I was on 211 board. I was doing all these things because as a social worker, you're just trying to make the world better.
Right.
But I realized I was just whack-a-mole. I wasn't making a real difference. And so when I decided to focus on protecting and promoting women and girls, that's when it really took off.
And I think that giving that clarity is really important as well too, because it may seem very overwhelming when you start. Did you feel that? I mean, I know you alluded to that as far as feeling like the overwhelming sense. How did you finally identify your brand or what you want to perceive to the world?
And then there's the question also, and it sounds like that is how do you separate you from your brand?
Well, this is one thing. That's a great point. I was going to talk about this when I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I date, I'm single. Okay, and so when I date people, I've noticed some people are only interested in Dana Brooks. They're not interested in me. They want to date Dana Brooks. Okay. Now, Dana Brooks is a very real person. It's a very large part of my life. Okay, it's genuine. That is me, but it's not all of me. Yeah, there are other parts of me. I'm also somebody's mom. You know, and I have the same struggles parenting as anybody else does. Okay. I'm also a coworker. I'm also goofy. I do silly things. I like to have fun with my friends. So Dana Brooks to me is what I call being on. Okay, I got to be Dana for 3 hours at this seminar or whatever. But it has to be genuinely you. It can't be some kind of, you know, pretentious mask you put on for the world. But yeah, that's the thing is you've got to guard yourself and your privacy. You have to have boundaries. Remember, your boundaries are yours. You have to respect them. Nobody else has to respect your boundaries. You respect your boundaries. So I make myself available as Dana Brooks under certain settings, and then I make sure I have plenty of time to be Goofy Dana, Friend Dana, Mama Dana.
And I also want to get everyone involved in this conversation because it is hard to make that distinction. Do you feel like once you made that distinction that there was a weight lifted off of you, or has it made you a better lawyer? Has it made you a better advocate for women?
Yeah, I think everything you do, you learn from. I don't know about a massive weight. I think I would call it clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, the path seemed to appear, I guess, is whenever I got rid of the extraneous. I have no problem doing something to support the cause of homelessness or hunger or any of those things are all great things. But I can't do everything well. So I've chosen the path that I can do very well at, and then also want to help other people do well. And so I just kind of narrowed into it.
Yeah, I think who can relate to that? You can't be everything for everyone, right? But you can really focus in on what your passion is and what you're really good at, and then the other stuff show up. Make it a point to say I support this. But also then go back into your focus. I want to take any questions from the audience. We do have a lot of people joining us via social media. LaTanya Cook, thank you for watching. This is wonderful. She says that there is a little bit of talking in the background, so we'll go ahead and make sure we pump the volume a little bit. But it just, that makes it more important for you to be here in person. We'd love to see you here in person. And then Prin Michelle Sheely, she says, inspiring Dana. And then also Joy, she's joining us. She says, hi, Dana. How does a 50-year-old female go about finding an angel investor or female small business owned grant? Do you know? So we'll make sure maybe we can get into the nitty gritty of all of those specific things, because I think you kind of go into your book a little bit in regards to giving advice and helping people. So let's talk about, there's the functional feminism book. So you have that right here, right? Tell us a little bit about your book. Where can you get it? Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon, or you can just ask me.
Okay, cool. So tell us a
We've
little
got
bit
a
about that.
ton of them here. I didn't do this to make money. I'm doing it to give it away. So there should be no barrier to access to this book. But in terms of the grants and the money, what I ask people to do, because believe it or not, I get a lot of opportunities to give people money. What I ask them to do is be very serious, okay? Have a business plan. Tell me what my ROI is gonna be. If I give you this, and this happens to my clients all the time. This is where I kind of got into this, because I have clients who will come into some money. And everybody they've ever met comes out of the woodwork, wants some of it. That's why that's part of the counseling with them is, you're going to be a target to some people who are very desperate or whatever, and you're a good person, you got a good heart. I don't want to see you lose all this money because your sister needs $5,000 to start a cleaning business. No, $5,000 to buy the truck to start your lawn care company or whatever, that's not a business plan. Your business plan is, do you have an account? Do you have an advisor? What are you doing about your taxes? What are your supply costs? What is your labor cost? What's your backup plan? You need to get a business plan. That's why Domi is so great, because there's so many people you can co-work with or meet and network with who can help you with these things you don't know. There's so many people who want to pursue their passion, but all they're focusing on is their art or their passion. I want to do this. They don't realize you've got to pay the bills and you've got to pay your investors back. So that's the best piece of advice I can do is get quite serious about it. Treat it like the business it is.
That's right. And I think it can be really hard to kind of separate yourself from like, okay, I have all this, the art part of it, right? And that's a lot of work, right? But then you find out, oh, there's all these other things that you have to do to keep your business running as well too, and make it a viable business. And so that's always an interesting journey as an entrepreneur.
I hear this from other lawyers, because believe it or not, a lot of women don't get treated very well in traditional law firms. And so they've decided, I know several of them decided I'm not doing that anymore. So they kind of almost co-work, they're not a firm, but they all share certain resources, and they cover for each other, and then they work out a way to fee split on cases and things like that, and then they get to have a line with it. They can get together, and the two of them get together can hire a nanny, a housekeeper, or somebody who goes to the grocery shopping and takes their kids all over the place. Pooling resources, you have more than you think you do. You just got to think outside the traditional way. Don't think like men. And that's the way the system is, because men got there first. They got to make the rules. If we got there first, we would have made the rules. But I'm saying you don't have to follow those rules. You don't have to pay your dues that way. You can leapfrog over these old conventional things. Men are not terribly agile because of that. When everything seems to go your way, why would you change? I mean, it's just that's why women are terribly agile, because you're running up against a brick wall every damn day. So you're like, okay, pivot, and so you're a lot more agile than you think you are. So I like the idea of thinking outside the box, working with other people who have similar interests and helping each other out. Find the ends, find the connections.
Now, I wanted to get into your book, The Functional Feminism, because this is kind of in writing shows how you're an advocate for women. So tell us a little bit about how you were able to identify that within yourself, and what can people learn from your book, reading your book?
I think if you learn anything from the book, you'll learn that there's a different way to look at the world and your place in it. So many women, the whole purpose of me writing it is to raise our collective gender self-esteem. I find so many women who believe that they just lost the birth lotto, second-class citizen, I'm a support staff person, and maybe I can cut out a little time for something I like for myself. But my predominant role is to be a wife, a mother, take care of your parents, my parents, give in-laws, stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just hope that people understand whenever you turn over your, basically your livelihood, your money, your well-being to somebody else, that's risky. It makes you vulnerable. And I don't want women to feel vulnerable their entire lives, from the time they realize their position relative to little boys to the time they die. I just want you to know that you can have the life that you want. You can still live in a biblical home. You can still be, a stay-at-home mom, support your partner in their career and their job, but look out for your money. That's all I'm saying. Look out for your money. And if you're with somebody who doesn't support that, you have to wonder, are they your true partner? Are they seeing you as an equivalent person? Because if they're not, That's probably why you're not. You've accepted somebody else's view of yourself as an immutable truth when it really is not. You get to decide your relative wealth and worth to people.
So in marketing, what are some strategic moves that you've done within your firm that's some good like strategic planning and tips for everybody that's here in regards to marketing their own business or their own actions?
I will tell you a trap to avoid first. And I'll tell
Okay,
you-
that's good.
Don't compare.
What do you do? What should you not do? Yeah.
Don't chase people. Like what we do in our firm is not informed by what other people are doing in their firms. It is real easy to do. It's like, oh man, did you see their new ad? Oh, it's so good. I wish I had done that. But in your instinct would be to go copy it and make it better. That's no. You're chasing somebody else when you do that. You know, the main thing is to believe in yourself and to believe what you're doing. But what we do in our firm, we measure things. Okay, we try as hard as we can not to go on hunches and assumptions, and that is so hard to do in marketing because there are so few really scientific ways of determining how somebody chose you. You know, you can look at their last, when you try to do attribution for cases, for example, I can look at the last thing they did because I might have a tracking number, and I know that comes from this web ad that I've got, and I know that was the last thing they saw, or that's the thing they got to call me. But it could have been because they met Barbara, and Barbara's been singing my praises for 2 years, and they finally needed to call me, and that's the ad they saw that they called me. So I don't really want to give the power of that to that web ad when I know it was the relationship I've had. So you have to measure things, and you have to give them the proper weight that they deserve. Don't take anything as gospel. I don't care any time in your life, don't take anything as gospel. I've gotten so caught up in my life because somebody I respected deeply told me this is the way to do it. Okay? I think everybody's fallen into that trap. Or that they did it that way, so that must be the only way to do it. No, you got to find where you belong and what works for you. But we measure everything. And it is enlightening. Brandon Brooks is here. He's our social media director. And
Hi there.
he gives us all the analytics and the data. And
We have a fun job.
Okay, well, this isn't about Brandon, it's about me. We don't need Brandon's feedback right now. I hope he likes his job. It does seem like it's fun, but we'll measure things. And for example, like I say, I'm single right now. I've been single for about 4 years. But when I was married, or if I'm dating somebody, like you can see on social media, my numbers go down. People lose interest in me. Yeah. So when I'm single, I'm around. People seem to tag on me and follow me or whatever. And now because I've been single, I have more men following me than women. I have more men interaction than women. So it's just, you just watch the numbers. And this is the other thing. Give people what they want, not what you want them to have. That's the biggest problem I think lawyers make. Is lawyers want to impart to you a bunch of legal knowledge to show you how great they are at their jobs and how smart that they are. Well, I think people assume lawyers are smart. They don't just open the door of law school and let anybody come in there. So I think that's an assumption. What they're looking for is, how are you different? How's my experience with you going to be different? So don't buy into the trap that because other people you're competing with do it a certain way that you have to do it that way. But measure things. Measure and verify everything you do and make sure that it's working for you. Don't just hard-headed go because if somebody said, oh, all the lawyers are spending this much money, all the lawyers have to have a bill. No, find your niche. Do it your way.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I like what you're saying, especially the first part, and that is really, really real. And then I've also picked up, like, how does Olivia want to do it? Because it's going to be something that's different. I'm presenting myself as somebody totally different. My talents are different. So what does it look like for me? And then measuring that, seeing what works, what doesn't work. So it might not be what I want to do that works.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is give something a good try. Our firm has the exact opposite problem of most businesses. Most businesses do something, if it looks like it's working then, they set it and forget it. They go back to practicing law. They go back to whatever it is that they want to do. And we'll get to the 80-20 rule too. Like if you're growing a business especially, you better be spending 80% of your time on growing that business and 20% of your time on doing whatever the hell your business is. Practicing law, macrameing, cutting hair. I don't care what it is. You need to 80-20 or you will not grow. And most people who do what they do love what they do. Or else they would be advising other people on how to market and manage businesses. So if you can't do it, or if you just don't have an interest, hire some people you know and trust who can advise you. But you need to be spending 80% of your time on growing your business. And whenever you do something like a marketing thing, don't set it and forget it, but don't do what we do, which is not give it enough time. If it doesn't blow my socks off, we're like, pivot. No, like at least give something 3 good months.
Oh, that's a good time.
So that's to me. I think six can work, but at least 3.
At least 3.
And try to control as many other variables as you can. Because we would try, okay, we got billboards up, we got new billboards, we got new commercials, whatever. Oh, the phone's ringing. You don't know what to attribute it to. But if you can be disciplined enough to give something, okay, everything else is normal, everything else is static, but we're gonna try this new thing for 3 months and see that. You try to control your variables.
That can be hard because you're
Very
like,
hard.
I don't think this is working. And then
Right.
patience is like,
Yeah.
so, one thing that and you can let me know if this is something that you've learned, which I'm sure is something you've learned, is to fail fast
Fail fast.
and to learn from it, right? So have you seen that working?
Yeah, we'll try something and it'll be bold. And well, one thing Jimmy and I did, is why we're very good partners, is we find ways to sell each other yes. Kind of like parenting, I guess. You know, you're much better off if you can find a way to say yes than to say no all the time. Because you can avoid a bunch of conflicts. You know, if I say no at the beginning, it's like, well, why are you saying no? We haven't even tried it. So I'm like, okay, yes. And I mean, when I say yes, I mean yes. I mean, we're going to fund it. We're going to put all the resources into it to make it successful. And then the way Jimmy and I work is it will become apparent that it's not. And so he will come to me and go, that was a fail. Let's don't do that anymore. And I don't have to go, told you, you know what I mean? It just becomes apparent. And then he decides, I don't want to do this anymore. But be bold. You know, there's some ideas, Jimmy, I'll put this in my book, he scares the hell out of me, man. He won't hit anybody in the office, I'll tell you. He comes in there with such energy. He is on fire. He's up at 5 a.m, his brain's on fire. And he'll come in the office and I'm just still trying to get a cup of coffee in me. And he's like, I want to change everything we're doing immediately. I'm like, oh my God. You know?
Sounds so.
But if it weren't for that, I might never get around to taking some of these risks and chances that have paid off.
Yeah,
Tremendously.
very true. And Barbara, she wants to mention here, yes, you often hear customers care about their problem, not your solution. And I think in marketing, you're pretty much a problem solver, right? And identifying what works for a specific niche or whatnot. How does one find that clarity when they have that aha moment where they're like, okay, this is working, this is not working. What is the next step to go from there?
You just have to keep trying because we switched our format of our advertising. If you notice, our television advertisements are not, we will fight for you. You know, we don't scream, we're not wearing a bunch of suits, we're kind of casual. We're just, you're kind of eavesdropping on our conversations. That's all Gary Ward paints me against me, right, for this. He called me for years. He goes, your ads are terrible. Nothing you're doing is working. You've got to do something else. And I'm like, man, I just added a bunch of lawyers. I'm making more money. I'm serving more people. What else you got to convince me that I'm losing here? Okay. And okay, fine, forget it. He calls me 2 years later. Your ads are terrible. I hate everything you're doing. You have so much potential. You're just sitting on it. I envision something totally else. I'm like, I just opened another office. I'm serving more people. We're doing, what else you got? So finally, the last time he calls me, he was very disruptive. Remember, advertising's got to be disruptive. And when somebody calls you, when you're on your high horse and tells you you're just crap, it gets your attention.
That's a good strategy, Gary. That's a good strategy, right?
It's very, I'm like, okay. And so finally, he's like, just do it. And I won't even charge you. If you don't like it, don't pay me. I'm like, okay, fine. And of course, it changed our world. But, and it was just a great way of doing it. But we got such an initial burst out of those ads. I mean, it really was a level up experience when those came out. But all of the ones since then they don't perform exactly the same. You know, it's just, kind of one time you blow up, not every day is going to be fireworks. And so you have to be, you just can't get stuck just because something worked. And plus the world's different now. That was pre-COVID. We live in a post-COVID world. You just got to be agile. You got to roll with the punches.
One thing that I've learned in being a small business owner is, making your business work for you. And I think that's so important because a lot of people can get bogged down in the monotony of social media. And because I'm not like doing so well on social media, then my business is failing, I'm not doing well. How do you get business owners, particularly women, out of that mindset that social media is your end all be all, the marketing is your end all be all, and how do you make it right for you and your business?
I believe at its core, all businesses are relationship businesses. Your social media just reinforces that. It just keeps people from forgetting about you. Top of mind awareness really does matter. And there's ways to do that less expensively. Social media is very inexpensive, but you can get bogged, it can be a total time suck, like you say, it needs to be effective. I would like to encourage people to do a good job at quality control. I have somebody in my office who does nothing but call people. Are you getting the kind of service we want you to have at FASIG BROOKS? Once you build rapport, see, whenever they're first coming to you, you don't want to drill down on, why'd you choose me? Because it sounds like it's more about you than what they called you for. So you gotta watch that. Plus, they're just gonna tell you whatever, because they're interested in getting what they need. So you need to revisit that. You need to reach out. You need to keep these people in your fold. Send them some, if you do newsletters, don't make it all about you. Send what you think they want. Give them a tidbit. I mean, like I have realtors who send me recipes and I'm like, I don't even need a realtor, but I want to cook that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
That was good.
Yeah.
Just keep people, top of mind awareness is the way I would utilize social media and email and stuff like that. Just remind me, I'm still here. I'm still here. Just give them helpful tidbits. But I would budget my time. How much time am I going to spend on this? But mainly what I would tell women especially, we are the queens of doing too much ourselves. We don't like to delegate. We don't like to give things to other people. Take advantage of the fact that you live in a community with 3 vibrant colleges. You got interns. You've got people who are in school who need these jobs. They need experience. You got a bunch of moms or a lot of women. Do you know women are in the workforce for the lowest numbers since the 80s because of COVID? Because who's the first person to give up their jobs because somebody needs to homeschool these kids? Or because your mom needs somebody to help her out, she's got to go get her groceries. We're usually the lower income earners, so we're the first ones to give up our job. Do you know how painfully horrible that is for you across the course of your career? The world will pass you by. That's why when you have your children, if you want a career, I don't tell people to go back to 75% or drop to part-time or leave. I say buy back your time. Find some way to pay people to do the things that you do not absolutely have to do. You don't have to go to Publix. You do not have to drive those kids all over the place. You're not having quality time when you put that kid in the car and drive them to soccer practice. Somebody else can do that. I have a woman, she started her firm and she leveraged all of her contacts. I write about her in the book. She was sick of this firm. She was having a baby and her husband was also a lawyer and she had no time. She hated her life. She saved up $2,000, started her practice out of her office. She goes to every lawyer she knew who took the kind of cases she took who didn't know how to do them. And she's like, you know, you got a bunch of PI cases sitting in your wills and probates practice that you got in over your head. They didn't give you easy money. And so now you're sitting there with a dissatisfied client. Give them to me, I'll split the fees with you. By like 4 months, she had $40,000. So she could hire a staff, she could get an office, okay? She kept doing that. Then she was working on her business 80% of the time. Okay, practicing law 20% of the time. Because she hired a law clerk to do a lot of that stuff. Law clerk, $17 an hour. She lived in a place that had a law school. Why am I doing that stuff when I can hire $17 an hour person to do it? All I have to do is be the mouthpiece, the person that has, that's what I do in my practice. I do the things only the person with the law degree needs to do. I don't have to do all that other stuff. She started buying back her time. She had a nanny who would pick her kid up from school. She finally started going, hey, can you go by Publix and get some stuff? Yeah, then it was like, well, can you stay around, fix the lunches for the next day, fix dinner tonight? So when she came home, all that was taken care of. So she and her husband sat down, had a nice meal with their children, then did their homework with them, went for a walk with them, had a bath with them. She didn't have to worry about fighting over what they're going to wear tomorrow, what they're going to eat tomorrow. All that was done. She didn't do any dishes. Breakfast was done. All because she spent $15 an hour to pay somebody to buy back. You know how much more money she made and how much better her quality of life and her relationship with her husband was because she spent $15 an hour? Women are so loath to do that. I think we feel like it means that we aren't doing that one thing we're supposed to do better than anybody, and that's nurture and care for people. to me, it's just prioritizing and putting the best people, you always want to be working at your highest, best use. If anybody else can do what you're doing, somebody else should be doing what you're doing. You do the things only you can do.
Wow.
It's obvious that we don't do it because that's not how we're conditioned. We're conditioned to be the ones who takes care of everything, and I'm mom, and if I have to delegate parenting, I'm a terrible mother. Hold on, me. You don't believe that.
What about if you're like, I'm the only one that can do it right? How do you get?
Don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough.
Okay.
Okay, not everything has to be perfect. Okay? And you are going to fail, and you're going to screw some stuff up, and love yourself, and know that, hey, I had a bad day. I had a bad day. You get to have a bad day.
Does anyone have any questions for Dana?
Yes, I'd like to tag on to that. That is my business, here to help town. My name is Lisa Levine. I do all those things. I do errands, organizing, coming to your home while someone comes to work on something in your home. They give you that window. I'm there for the window so you don't have to miss any work. And I do anything from your shopping to your Amazon returns at Kohl's, any kind of returns to the store, any kind of shopping you need, any kind of organizing in your home, from your junk drawer, kitchen pantry, your garage, your whole home. And I take people to the airport, pick them up. I take kids around to their events after school, their sporting events, and I can supply all that stuff.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's more women who can do that. And people talk about, well, I don't have money, I'm a single mom, I can't afford that. Think about co-oping. Think about partnering with somebody. Like, can you make a bunch of casseroles this week? I'll pick the kids up and take them to all the practices. You know what I'm saying? Think about how you can do it, and to get rid of this shame. Shame is a prison you put yourself into. Dump it.
Oh, one more thing. Yeah, I mentioned that. And if you can't afford my service, I'm hourly. If I can barter with you for something, I'll do that.
Yeah. There's also a really good resource for Women Wednesdays internships as well too, and that's another resource for you to be able to look to find people that specialize in specific areas, or to even just put a call out there for someone specific. And it can be a paid internship, it can be non-paid, it can be a barter system, whatever fits your needs. Because I know starting off as a small business owner, you are everything, right? Because you can't necessarily afford payroll right off the top. You have to do everything. You got to put the grind in there up front, and then hopefully, 3 to 5 years, you can start, facilitating that to other people. So, did you have yes?
Yeah, one of the things you talked about earlier was expectations and brand and identity. And one of the things that I personally find, especially as I get older, I know we don't talk about that, but also being overweight, which is something I've dealt with all my life, is my own shame about my own perceptions, if that makes sense, is like what people expect of me, and knowing that I don't look like other people who are trying to sell what I'm selling. I'm a romance novelist.
Ooh.
So, and I don't have the romance novelist hair. I don't have any hair. So I just kind of wonder, like, what advice would you give to somebody like me who's kind of fighting against the standard perception of what somebody is supposed to be?
It's a cool question. I would say get out of your head.
Yeah, get out of your head.
And let those other people, why are you letting people live rent-free in your psyche? Check your bank account. Have any of those opinions ever deposited in the account? I check your account. I check mine all the time. My haters have never made my deposit. So I don't give them a whole lot of attention. Okay, you get to decide who you are. And you use your words. Who cares? If you don't look like, I don't even know what some of my favorite authors do look like. You know what I mean? So it's you put yourself in that position is what I would suggest to you. So just open the door and walk out of it. Okay, everybody has 100% control to have the life they want. You have 100% control of that, and you do it by deciding who you're going to listen to. And if you're listening to things that feel like they maybe belong to you, okay, fine. But sometimes your feedback you're getting, do you ever listen to it and you go, well, that doesn't really belong to me. It sounds like she's having a day. It sounds like somebody did her wrong or something, and she's putting that on me. Remember what your mom told you. Don't take things that don't belong to you, including other people's shit. Okay?
And think we all have been there. We've all dwelled in that. We can all relate to that. And it's just, it's one of those things that's got to pick yourself back up and get back out there. And I think you're beautiful with no hair. And,
I say this, but instead of thinking, I need to, weigh less or lose weight, think of it in terms of what is the healthiest way for me to be.
Mm-hmm.
What should my blood pressure be? What should my lab numbers be? Weight is just one variable. What is my healthiest best? That's how you look at it.
I get it from my mama, so, Sorry, Mom. Do we have any hands up here?
I do have a question, but I know the time, which is like, we've been in business for 18 years, but we don't look like your typical wedding planners. So anybody who looks at you is like, well, you have to wear a suit, which the same for a lawyer, right? There's this preconceived notion of what you have to be. It's your job to get out of that and say, this is me. Not be that I am the right person for you, or I am not the right person for you. So when you're writing your books, you write your parents the same way you are. There's a lot of people exactly like you who don't find a place in their, in their world, who don't find novels that represent them. So when they read, they see the 6 foot tall model who got, that's not you. So maybe when you write, represent yourself in that aspect of that. There's a lot of people who exactly are looking where you are. So we always say to women when we're working with them, it's like, keep going to be your healthiest, your best, but make sure that you appreciate how far you have come so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big important lesson for that. That was big for us. We always struggle with weight. We have with keto, so food is not exactly your friend in that case. But keep going to your healthy diet, or keep going to a healthier life in general, but make sure that you celebrate how far you have come from when you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So make sure that you keep that in mind, because that has helped us along the way for a long time as well. Because like I said, we're not your typical, we have an accent, and we always get that. So that was always a big part when we show up and said, well, where are you from? So it kind of makes you feel like you're not speaking the language right. So whenever we get that kind of, for example, feedback from us, we always say, well, I speak the language, something you speak. So whenever people say something negative about yourself, make sure that you find the other side of that. So that was always big for us to help us along the way, especially not being in your position of influence. So my question today was, we've been in business for about 18 years. We still do our events. Me and my mom started that a long time ago. So my question to you is, like, as an established business, when people know about it, how do you keep yourself from feeling like you're repeating yourself? Because you've been here for so long time that you feel like, well, I'm saying the same thing I said last year or the year before, but still, how do you manage that between introducing yourself to people who are new to you and not boring the people who already know you? It's like, well, I already know that about you.
Yeah.
So how do you walk that line to make sure that your marketing is actually on brand for business that have been here for a long time?
Well, one of the things we had to do, and this is something Gary Gordon helped us with, the first type of commercials we did, you probably couldn't have told we were lawyers too much, because it was about getting to know us and trusting us and being comfortable with us. And then once we did that, it became about what do we do? Okay, who are we? Then it was what do we do? And then it became a brand. Those are the nice lawyers, or those are the approachable lawyers, or whatever. And so many times today, people will still come up to us, and I'll get asked all the time if I'm a realtor or if I'm the lady who does the news. I get like, because I do have the TV show we do.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, that's not about law. Well, I pay attention to the numbers, and I know nobody cares about law. I had a TV show on 9 years, Legal Law Call. 9 years that show was on. People still think it's on. They'll say, I got you for your show. That show hadn't been on in about 4 years. But you just have to pay attention to a couple of things. What people perceive about you. Okay, so I have to still say the same thing over and over again, which is, I don't bill by the hour. You can all afford me. The entire world can afford me, because I only get paid out of what I'm able to get for you. If I don't get you anything, you don't have to pay me. You don't pay me for my time. You don't pay me for the money I spent on your case. We're done. Okay? Didn't work out. But if the only time I get paid is when you also get paid. I have to repeat that over and over again because people don't get it. So I have to say that a lot, and I pay attention to that because of the feedback that I get. Otherwise, I try to live my genuine life and share that with people and let them see me walking my talk. A lot of lawyers you see on TV, you never run into them in Publix. You never see them, first Fridays. You never see them at springtime or something. So you have to back up. Whatever you decide your brand is, you don't get to decide your brand. Your brand is pretty much decided for you. What you want to do is be congruent with your brand. back it up. Try not to do things that are off-brand, bad for the brand, that confuses people. Okay, that's the main thing, is pay attention. That's when you would repeat, because you know they need to keep hearing it.
So whenever
Otherwise,
you're,
be genuine.
so whenever you're evaluating a new marketing piece, an ad, a page, whatever it is you're evaluating at that point, is that one of your points that you go over is maybe off brand, is going to be confusing. So even if it's really, really good, but it's not necessarily fit with what you have, you would rather go with something that is less effective but more on brand.
No, you want everything to be effective.
I mean, like sometimes
Always.
there's a lot of ideas, so you might want to have somebody come, or you have an idea for marketing that doesn't necessarily 100% fit your brand. So is it a trade-off between doing something that might be a little bit of brand, but will take you in a different direction?
Yeah.
Or would you rather?
You gotta take risks. Like I do a radio show every Tuesday morning. Does anybody listen to it? I bet you don't. It does not play to this demo.
The one with Greg Tish?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's 93.3 FM. It's talk radio. And sometimes I make the mistake of leaving that damn channel on in my car, and I will get on it. And another time of day, I'm like, my ears are bleeding. I'm like, this is so not what I believe. It's real right-wing radio. Okay, very off-brand for Dana. I'm the only person on that entire show ever that doesn't pay to be there. And I told him, I said, I'm real trepidatious about this because it is off-brand. But they said, you go and you be totally you. I'm supposed to be the counterpoint. I call myself, I'm a reasonable person, to Terry Madigan, who is more traditional conservative. Now, in real life, we're good friends, but we honestly, it's not even that great a show anymore because we pretty much agree we're reasonable. As long as you're reasonable, but people say things to get attention, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to go up there and be totally myself and what people would expect from me. I'm not off-brand. So that turned out to be a risk I took that I thought was an off-brand thing to do, but I was very congruent with my image, very congruent with my brand, and I've gotten a lot of cases and a lot of people who originally thought, oh, I don't like her. I don't like those feminist type. She's going to try to break up my home. She's going to try to, rile up my women, give them my ruling. My daughter's going to give me pushback. I had a mentor. I don't know if she's watching, but her parents were real concerned when she came to work with me because of what they perceived about me. They were afraid I was going to indoctrinate their daughter into something that they had worked very hard to raise her, to reject. You just have to, reinforce your brand. And my brand is like, this is what works for me. I want you to make good decisions that work for you, but I want you to make informed decisions. I want you to understand when you choose a path, you might make yourself and your children vulnerable. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I work in marketing. I run a social media marketing company, and brands need to evolve because your clients are different, and you serve people and they've grown older, and now you're serving the next wave of people who are going to be married or have a heart.
Is you guys to a T. We took you to a T,
Yeah, and so your brand should evolve, but you still have your core mission and your core values. And if that new marketing piece is not aligned with that, that's a problem. If you're going to blow up your brand and start something completely different, then everything should be changed before you start marketing that way. But if you've had success for this many years, something is going well. And also something that I know teachers talk about is like, I'm so bored with this topic, I taught it the same, but this is a new student.
Right.
So you can't forget that the person you're marketing to has not heard this spiel before.
Right.
And it worked for you in the past, and it is you and your brand. So stay true to that unless you're opening it up because your audience is wanting something different.
It's always, I guess, finding a new way to say the same thing. So that you're still important the same knowledge that you and your board yourself. Like we're a creative business, so our background has to be, we have to stay inspired in what we do.
Right.
We don't have to move that diet and say, this is 1, 2, 3, it doesn't work that way. So if we don't stay fresh and we don't stay inspired and we don't, then we can't do our work, because we won't resonate with the new generation. We have to stay fresh with what we do. So finding new ways to say the same thing is like, okay, I've said this for 8 years, I'm really tired of saying it. But because you have new clients or new people, you have to say it again.
Right.
So it's always a struggle to find new ways to say the same thing without boring anyone or yourself.
Right, and nowadays, you could have done an ad that was heavy verbiage in the past, and now it needs to be visual, and it should be an ad.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll say this, photos and videos, get rid of that
I would
text.
say videos and photos, yeah.
Videos can work. videos, that's where those things we measure. And you can tell if it's just strictly text, but if you got a photo, and it's gotta be the right photo, not any photo, but video. See, I didn't like that for years because I'm always in public and I don't use earphones, so I'm not gonna play a video because I don't want the noise around it. That went out with my shoes, video.
The video has to say what you want to say with no words.
But how about this, the videos look good, people seem to like this better. If you have a video, have some kind of text at the bottom that is talking about what you're talking about. It doesn't have to transcribe it.
Yeah.
But like, Dana on career, if this is being videoed, you know, Dana on branding, something
That's
like that.
gonna be a question that I was gonna say, having been in business for so long, like we have, when we started the business, social media really didn't exist.
Right.
So it wasn't about social media, it was about that interpersonal relationship.
Right.
So how has been your journey of starting your business from when it used to be the way it was, then suddenly now you have to be available 24/7 for everything. And then everything you do is either in the public, so you have to worry about what you wear, what you do, where you go, what you eat. So because somebody you get.
I don't. I tell
Do
you what.
you?
I do
Do
not.
you?
I do not. You
Yeah.
will see me running around from the gym, no makeup. I used to be afraid of that. Now
Do
that is
you?
part of my brand. My brand is I'm a real woman. Okay, I don't look like this every day. This took a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta do you with your authentic self. Now we are wrapping up, and I feel like we can have conversations after Women Wednesdays.
And always email me, contact me, I'm available.
Yes.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
I just have to, you keep your personal and your business separate on social media.
That's the question.
No. I don't, but now that's me. Now I've got people in my office, my cell phone is on my Facebook and all my business cards. Every new client gets it said, hey, here's Dana and Jimmy's cell phone. Anything going on, your team is busy, sometimes they're in court here, whatever, reach out to me if you need anything. No one abuses that. Sometimes people are in a little bit of a crisis and you're hearing about them, 3 or 4 times a day, but nobody abuses that. They take that as a great privilege. But no, I don't really distinguish myself. I live my life. I'm an open book, but it gets me a lot of traffic because I have a very exciting life. I travel. I do a lot of fun things. It looks like I'm on vacation 24 hours a day. That's okay, but that gets me good feedback and good attention. But I also, in marketing, to me, if you're going to be genuine, you got to let people see you fail. You got to let people see you hurt and have the same experiences they do. It makes you more relatable.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, I'm on your personal social media, on your friends list there. So I see what you post on there. You're not selling your business at that point in time. So I think there's a distinction. You are the same person. You need to talk about certain things and put something out there to help your friends that are on your page, but you're not just business on that page.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. Probably the question is asking there is you should have some separation in that if that's what works for you. Lawyers, you probably do need to have that consistent thing.
Yeah.
Restaurant hours for me, I don't need someone calling me at 3 a.m. asking if we can have reservations. So there's
Set limits. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are your boundaries that you set.
And we'll wrap it up after.
But I think with all of everybody said, it's just image. I mean, whether she's on you're on the personal or on business, or me, I have a lot that I can share also. But it's just, when we're on our personal, it's still an image that we're sharing with everybody and who we are. Whether you're doing this, your social media is always your image. And that's really what I think.
Yeah. And you need to protect that because that belongs to you and it has value with your capital.
Well, I want to get one final thought from you for today. Just anything you want to say to everyone that's here that has come to get the wisdom and the advice and all of that. Any one last thought that you'd like to say?
Get comfortable with risk. Take risk. Nobody, the world is not going to knock your door down and drag you out of your house and give you the life you want. Go get it. It is available to you. It's there. You have more resources than you know. And if you don't know, you know somebody who knows. So get comfortable with risk. That means get comfortable with failing. You will fail, things won't work out. But that will be a lesson that will help you get to the next level. So the first thing you got to do is try. Do it.
We just want to go ahead and let you know what's coming up next week. So next week's speaker is April 20th, and this is going to be a really good one. It's called You Belong. Many of you may be aware of Dr. Jackson. She's the choral director at Hartsville Elementary. She's helped get her students accepted to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York City, as well as inspiring the entire community to raise funds to get her kids there. So you'll definitely want to join us, and she'll be bringing her book. It's called I Belong in Music, Breaking Barriers Beyond the Shelf. So that will be here at Railroad Square. And Justine, we want to say thank you so much for hosting us today. And thank you so much for joining us here in person and on social media. As always, you have a wonderful Wednesday, and Domi Station co-working is open today, so make sure you take advantage of that. See you guys later. Thank you.